Hi, this is Jessica.
And this is Josh.
And this is Drawing Conclusions. Today we will be reviewing It from 2017, the newly released movie. And once again, I did not see this film because, as I mentioned during the Alien Covenant review, I do not like scary movies. I particularly don't like scary movies featuring clowns. I've had a thing about that since I saw Poltergeist when I was a little girl. So yeah, I did not go see it. So Josh will be doing the review of this and I'll just be asking him some questions about the movie. Josh, the movie had been out for a few days by the time you got to see this because you were at a convention in Portland when it was released.
Right.
You had heard some things about it before you went to see it. Did the movie live up to the hype?
Yes, I think it did. The settings, 1980s. The cast was great. The visual effects were very good. A lot of practical effects with some CG stuff sprinkled in. But the performances by the actors themselves, I think, is what really brought this thing to life for me. A lot of people talk about Pennywise the Clown played by Bill Skarsgård. I thought his portrayal of the infamous clown was very different than Tim Curry's version from 1990 in the miniseries on TV. He was very physical because he's a taller guy, very lanky, and just really used that very well, I thought. Very creepy. And I know his look was really more scary than the Tim Curry Pennywise, but it had a strange, like, kind of inviting nature behind it too, which was really weird, but really effective. And his performance notwithstanding, the thing that really brought this movie up for me was the cast of The Losers Club. Just their performances really came to life. It just reminded me of like the stuff my friends and I used to do when we were kids. Stupid jokes, funny things we'd say to each other, and just shared experiences. But of this group, Finn Wolfhard, Sophia Lillis, and Jake Dylan Grazer really, I think, were my favorites. Finn played Richie Tozier. And if you've seen Stranger Things or familiar with that, you've already seen his acting on display, and he does a very good job here. A very kind of different part. Whereas like in Stranger Things, he was kind of leader of the group. In this one, he's not quite a side character, but he's not the main guy. Sophia Lillis as Beverly Marsh, she was a real standout probably even of these three actors. She was really great as Beverly. Kind of the soul of the group. And I just think Jake Dylan Grazer played Eddie Kaspbrak. Jack Dylan Grazer, excuse me, who played Eddie Kaspbrak. He was just really good, very believable. And just his situation, I don't want to give away too many spoilers to those who haven't seen or read the book. I thought that was his performance to me was probably one of my favorites of those three.
So Josh, you mentioned the book. Have you read the book It?
I did. I read it in high school a while ago.
But you have a really great memory, I know. So how would you say this compared with the book in terms of adaptation, and also compared to the 1990 version for those who have seen that movie, that miniseries?
The 2017 version is not as straight, not totally faithful to the source material, but I don't think that matters so much to me personally. I think, maybe book purists, this will bother them, but I think it really did capture the spirit of the book. It did things a little differently than the 1990 version as far as character introduction. That one actually, you got to see them both as adults and as kids. This one's just mostly about the children and their dealings with the creature. There are some things that are different in how each of the kids sees the evil entity in this movie versus the old one. Some of it is different than the book, and some of it is actually almost spot on. And so they did some little changes here to characters and their arcs a little bit. It wasn't too heavy-handed, didn't feel like completely out of place or anything like that. It just was slightly different. They made those kind of changes. It didn't really bother me overall.
How about the look of the film? What about the effects, the cinematography, the makeup, costumes, etc.? What did you think about the overall visuals?
Visuals I thought were fantastic, very creepy, even claustrophobic in certain parts. If you were like been a kid and experienced like the house at the end of the street that's abandoned, I've seen a few of those in my time. That really came to life on the old haunted looking house on Well Street, or the Well House rather, that they go visit. The practical effects were really good. The use of lighting was very good. Nothing was like super blacked out and totally obscured that you couldn't see it, but it was just enough to give it a lot of atmosphere. Sound effects I thought were really good. Eerie, dripping water, things like that. Just a lot of sounds to really bring up the tension. And just the overall look of the movie, like I said earlier, it does take place in the 80s, and it definitely felt like the 80s from the dress, cars, music, dialogue they were using.
Did you have any complaints about the movie? Anything that you wish had been different about it?
Yeah, I thought the music could have been toned down a little. It was a little too, at parts, not always, but at parts too much of a cue, like, okay, something's gonna happen right here. It just, having seen a lot of like scary movies over the years, you just kind of know that that's what it's doing. And I felt personally that I think a little more, I think less would have been more, to use that lame expression. I think had they cut it back a little bit at parts and had actual just sound, dialogue, I think that could have created a lot more tension at parts and to really ramp up to a good soundtrack instead of just continually having one kind of indicating when something's going to happen.
Right.
Overall, I enjoyed the movie a lot. I would see it again. The cast was outstanding, and to me, it really did keep with the spirit of the book. I would highly recommend this to anyone who is a fan of both Stephen King or horror movies. And I'm looking forward to seeing it again, as well as the follow-up in 2019.
And I am looking forward to not ever seeing an It movie, but I do really appreciate your drawing. I think that it's excellent, and I hope everyone is enjoying watching you create what I think is really just kind of a masterpiece of this really disturbing picture of Pennywise, played excellently, I guess, by Bill Skarsgård, although I'll never know for myself. I'll just have to take your word for it. Anyway, we hope you will join us next time on Drawing Conclusions. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Have a good one.